Make sure you download our worksheets before watching this video about wildlife conservation. There are two available, one for grades 6 to 7 and for grades 8 to 9. Welcome travelers to this presentation about wildlife conservation. What we will focus on today is protecting nature for future generations, safeguarding species and preserving ecosystems. So, let's make a start. Understanding wildlife conservation. The importance of protecting animals and their habitats. Wildlife conservation represents a delicate balance between protecting endangered species and managing sustainable ecosystems. These efforts aren't just about saving individual animals, they're about establishing new breeding populations to ensure species survival and maintaining genetic diversity. When different conservancies work together like this, they create stronger networks of protected areas that give endangered species a better chance at long-term survival. So, just what is the need for wildlife conservation, and how important is this? Let's take a look at preserving biodiversity and ecosystem balance. Wildlife conservation is absolutely critical in our time. With many species facing unprecedented threats from habitat loss, poaching, and climate change, every successful conservation effort represents hope for the future. These initiatives don't just protect individual animals, they help maintain the delicate balance of entire ecosystems that we all depend on. Just what are the major threats to wildlife? They fall into three main categories: habitat loss, climate change, and human activities. Wildlife faces several severe threats, with habitat loss and poaching being particularly devastating. As humans expand urban areas and convert land for agriculture, countless species lose their homes and migration routes. Climate change compounds these problems by altering ecosystems and food availability. Additionally, illegal wildlife trafficking continues to push many species toward extinction, as animals are hunted for their parts to supply illegal markets. What are some of the particular species at risk of extinction? Let's look, one by one, at the following animals. Mountain gorillas, black rhinos, Sumatran tigers, pangolins, the Vaquita porpoise, California condor, hawksbill sea turtles and North Atlantic right whales. Mountain gorillas. Their population has increased from an estimated 620 in 1989 to around 1,000 today. They live in the mountainous regions spanning Rwanda, Uganda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The main threats they face include habitat fragmentation, human-transmitted diseases, and civil unrest. All that said, these gorillas represent a success story of conservation, as they live with strict protection measures including armed guards and regulated tourism. Most significantly, each gorilla family is monitored daily by dedicated rangers. The black rhinoceros has become a testament to both conservation challenges and successes. Once numbering over 65,000 in 1970, these prehistoric-looking giants were devastated by poaching, plummeting to just 2,300 individuals by 1993. In the case of black rhinos, their historic population of 65,000 in 1970 declined to just 2,300 by 1993 due to intensive poaching. The current population of about 5,500 black rhinos represents a conservation success, though still critically endangered. The animals still face ongoing poaching threat due to horn value in traditional medicine markets. They require intensive security measures, including armed protection and surveillance. Recent translocation efforts, like a successful example in Kenya, have helped establish new populations. Sumatran tigers are the last remaining tiger subspecies in Indonesia after Jovan and Balinese tigers went extinct. The animal stands on the brink of extinction. Fewer than 400 remain in fragmented forest patches of Sumatra. Major threats include deforestation for palm oil plantations and human-wildlife conflict. Poaching continues for the traditional medicine market. The animals require large territories to survive, making conservation challenging in developed areas. Pangolins, nature's walking pinecones, are the world's most heavily trafficked mammals. These remarkable creatures, found in Asia and Africa, are covered in protective scales made of keratin, the same material as human fingernails. Despite their armored appearance, all 8 pangolin species face extinction due to poaching for their scales and meat. When threatened, they roll into a tight ball, but this defensive move actually makes them easier for poachers to capture. These shy, nocturnal animals are vital for ecosystem health, with a single pangolin capable of consuming 70 million insects annually. Yet their population has plummeted 80% in just 10 years, making their conservation critically urgent. All 8 species of pangolins are threatened with extinction. Pangolins are considered the world's most trafficked mammal. They are poached for scales, used in traditional medicine, and meat, considered a delicacy. Asian species are particularly devastated, leading to an increased targeting of African pangolins. They are very difficult to breed in captivity, making population recovery challenging.
The International Whaling Organization has issued its first ever extinction alert. It says the Vaquita porpoise is on the verge of extinction, with only around 10 animals still surviving. They're the world's smallest sea mammals and found here on the Mexican Pacific coast. The Commission says the species can still be saved if a ban on gill net fishing is fully enforced in the Gulf of California.
The Vaquita porpoise is the world's most endangered marine mammal. They are found only in small area of Mexico's Gulf of California. Their population crashed from 600 in 1997 to fewer than 20 today. Their main threat is drowning in illegal fishing nets. Despite international protection efforts and Mexican Navy enforcement, the mammal's decline continues. The magnificent California condor, North America's largest flying bird, with a wingspan stretching up to 9.5 feet, or 3 meters, nearly vanished forever. In 1987, only 27 remained in the wild. Through an intensive rescue mission, scientists captured every last bird and began a captive breeding program. Today, thanks to dedicated conservation efforts, over 450 of these majestic birds soar once again. While still endangered, their remarkable comeback from the brink of extinction stands as one of conservation's greatest success stories. Yet these incredible birds continue to face threats from lead poisoning and habitat loss as they rebuild their population across California, Arizona, and Baja California. The critically endangered hawksbill sea turtle glides through tropical waters worldwide, recognized by its distinctive hawk-like beak and beautiful amber shell. These ancient mariners can dive up to 1,000 feet deep and play a vital role in keeping coral reefs healthy by feeding on sponges. Though they once numbered in the millions, today less than 25,000 nesting females remain due to hunting for their shells, egg poaching, and habitat loss. These remarkable creatures can weigh up to 150 pounds and live for 50 years in the wild, yet face an uncertain future without continued conservation efforts. These animals play a critical role in maintaining coral reef ecosystems. Historically, they have been hunted for their beautiful shells, which are used in jewelry and decorative items. Climate change is affecting nesting beaches and can skew gender ratios of hatchlings. Plastic pollution, in particular, poses a significant threat through ingestion and entanglement. The turtles take 20 to 30 years to reach breeding age, making population recovery very slow. North Atlantic right whales are among the world's most endangered marine mammals, with only about 350 individuals remaining. These massive creatures, growing up to 52 feet long, were named right whales because they were once considered the right whale to hunt, bringing them near extinction. Today, they face critical threats from ship strikes and fishing gear entanglement along the east coast of North America. Scientists track individual whales by their unique white patches of rough skin called callosities. Female right whales normally give birth every 3 to 5 years, but with increasing dangers in their ocean habitat, their population continues to decline despite international protection. Their current population hovers around 350 individuals. Major threats to these gentle creatures are ship strikes and entanglement in fishing gear. Their slow reproduction rate, one calf every 3 to 5 years, makes recovery difficult. Climate change is also affecting distribution of food sources. Recent efforts include speed restrictions for ships and fishing gear modifications. Each of these species represents not just an individual conservation challenge, but also indicates the health of their broader ecosystems. Their preservation requires coordinated international efforts, local community support, and innovative conservation strategies. Community-based conservation. Local community involvement in management is often the most beneficial way for the animal at risk. Because of the benefit-sharing mechanisms. Traditional knowledge integration, knowledge about the animals held by local people, is also proving vital to successful conservation. And sustainable resource use programs are all working to help protect many species. So, how does the future look for these endangered animals, and what else can we do to protect them? The future of wildlife conservation is likely to be shaped by several emerging trends and challenges. Technological advancements. AI and machine learning is being developed, which will assist with wildlife monitoring and poaching prevention. DNA analysis for population management and tracking illegal wildlife trade is also becoming increasingly available. And satellite tracking is providing real-time data on animal movements. Moreover, climate change adaptation is a growing focus for wildlife protection. Many preservation agencies are developing climate-resilient protected areas. Wildlife corridors, designed to account for shifting habitats, are being introduced. There are an increasing number of assisted migration programs for vulnerable species, using trucks, helicopters, and other means of transport so as to keep the animals far from danger. Enhanced monitoring of climate impacts on biodiversity are also proving very worthwhile. There are also many community-based approaches. These have led to a greater integration of local knowledge and the expansion of community-managed conservation areas. Sustainable livelihood programs are also being linked to conservation. These have in turn led to improved benefit-sharing mechanisms. Above all, local participation in decision-making processes is now seen as vital. The final part of the process is innovative funding models. Governments are now setting aside carbon credit markets for habitat protection. Biodiversity offsetting programs, for example, if a development project, like mining, construction, or infrastructure, damages natural habitat, the developer must fund conservation activities elsewhere. Green bonds for conservation projects. Cryptocurrency-based conservation funding. And corporate environmental responsibility initiatives. All of this said, the future of wildlife conservation is still likely to face many challenges, including increasing human population pressure, habitat fragmentation due to development, growing impacts of climate change, limited conservation funding, Political instability in key biodiversity areas. So, let's take a moment to reflect on what we have learned. And how can we contribute to wildlife protection? There are many organizations which are dedicated to preserving our endangered species around the world. Perhaps there are some near you. Why not do some research and find out? To help you get started, here are a few of the major organizations. The World Wildlife Fund, WWF. They are the world's largest conservation organization and are active in 100+ countries. They focus on species protection and habitat conservation, and they have a major influence on international conservation policy. The International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, maintains what they call the Red List of threatened species, such as those we have looked at in this video. It is the IUCN which sets global conservation standards by advising the UN and governments. And it coordinates international conservation efforts. Slide 23. The Wildlife Conservation Society, WCS, manages the world's largest network of urban wildlife parks and conducts major scientific research. Operates conservation projects in 60+ countries and focuses on protecting wildlife and wild places. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through wildlife conservation. Remember, every effort counts in protecting our planet's incredible species. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others. Together, we can make a difference for future generations. Until next time, stay curious and keep supporting conservation efforts. See you soon.